from Cleveland's most accurate weather team. This is 19 First Alert Plus, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney.
Hello there, and welcome to your First Alert forecast here. Breaking news, it's gross out, and it's going to continue to be gross. We are getting ready for / already having some pretty intense weather that's been showing up here. Bring in Erica Page, because Erica, I believe that we should just probably get right to this thing. You've been talking about it all day. You guys broke it down in First Alert Focus, and yeah, now here in the, on our nightly newscast, we're really starting to approach the breaking point.
Yeah, I mean, some locations, and it was kind of interesting to see some of the observations rolling in this evening. I believe Erie, Pennsylvania gusted close to 70 miles per hour earlier today. That was out at their airport. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how powerful these winds are. So if you drive high-profile vehicles, probably not the best day to be out on the roads, especially as we go through the day tomorrow, because we are going to see these winds increase once again. You'll see temperatures outside, not bad. Most of us are sitting into the 40s, but realistically, you factor in the wind, it probably feels more so like temperatures closer to freezing. And that is going to be the case here as we go through the next couple of days, as we really start to work in more Arctic weather. We are in the middle of a 19 First Alert weather day tonight into tomorrow. Again, really the big story, I think, for us here locally is just tracking winds that could reach 60 miles per hour, lead to some power losses, high travel impact. But we do have some rain and some snow to talk about, especially as we look ahead towards tomorrow and especially into Sunday as well. So wind gusts right now, not bad. I mean, it is windy regardless of where you're at, but not quite as gusty as where we have been. But do keep in mind that we have the high wind warnings in effect. We have the wind advisories in effect. This will all last through 1 a.m. Sunday. So that just gives you an idea in terms of a timeline of how long these winds are really going to stay elevated across our area. Just a snapshot here. You look at Saturday's wind speeds, and these are wind gust speeds. I should be more specific there. You'll notice through the afternoon, winds, I should say, 50, 55, even close to 60 miles per hour will be pretty common for a very prolonged period of time. So just keep that in mind. We will see winds relax a little bit by Sunday, but you know, it's not much. I mean, at this point, the damage is already done. And really, you're adding 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts to some Arctic air, and that's what's going to make it feel so miserably cold if you do step outside. So this is the big system that we are tracking. Certainly a lot of rain has been across Northeast Ohio this evening. Earlier in the evening, we had some snow and some quick accumulations in some spots. But now temperatures have warmed, so we are just talking mainly rain. But once we start to get that Arctic air moving through, which you can actually see where that Arctic air sits right now, spilling into the northern part of the country, that's when things are really going to change for us, especially in terms of the second half of the weekend. But let's talk about your future view. Let's get you through this part of the forecast. Scattered rain chances will linger with us at least for the next couple of hours. We do have some much drier air that's going to accompany that colder push of temperatures. So once that drier and colder air starts to mix in, that's when we start to see the reinvigoration of those wind speeds as we head into the overnight. So by early tomorrow morning, temperatures for a lot of us are going to be into the upper 20s, if not the lower 30s. And you may gain a degree or two as we go through the day. Of course, dealing with some of those scattered snow showers, but this is about the warmest we will be throughout the entire weekend, and honestly, really over the next 7 days or so. So soak it in, I guess, while you can, but definitely be safe through the day tomorrow. Yes, some heavy bursts of snow are possible with the wind. It is going to quickly reduce visibility across the area, so do use caution if you must be out and about on the roads traveling. But really, conditions throughout the day tomorrow just not going to be great. I don't anticipate a lot in the way of snowfall accumulation. Some accumulation is possible. But when you're talking about winds as strong as they are, it's going to be really hard to see that snow accumulate appreciably in a lot of spots just because it's going to be blowing and drifting around so much. So don't anticipate overly high totals. The exception will be once we get into Saturday night headed into Sunday. I do think we will have some favorable winds to get some lake effect going. And so into areas of our primary snow belt, that's where we could see some totals starting to pile up. Right now, latest guidance says at least over 4 inches will be possible into that primary snow belt. Basically, the closer you are to I-90, the closer you are to the lakeshore, the better that opportunity is to pick up on more significant snowfall totals as we go through the second half of the weekend.
All right, Erica, quick break. We'll come back. Take a look at all that.
I've represented families just like yours for over 4 decades. Listen, if you need me, call me. You know I'll be there for you, and I'll make them pay. In the meantime, I'll keep an eye out for you.
All right, and we're back looking at that 7-day, and yeah, you alluded to this, what we're dealing with. as you look ahead, it's not like anything necessarily gets better because the temperatures really dip.
Yeah, they do. And, you know, we will have a couple of different systems that come through early this next week. Tuesday, it looks like we get a round of some snow showers, maybe get a little bit of a break on Wednesday, then Thursday into Friday, another system comes through. So you are going to have some wind with these temperatures. So I would expect through a good majority of the week, expect wind chill values to at least be into the single digits, if not colder. Sunday's wind chills really look to, I think, range between potentially 10 below zero to about zero. That would be the best case scenario, I think, for a lot of us, just because we're still going to have gusts upwards of 40 miles per hour. So it just kind of depends on where you're at, depends on where your temperature sits through the day, but it is not going to be the most comfortable of days for us. And we really don't see any significant improvements as we go through the week. Yeah, Thursday, temperatures into the 20s, but you're still not getting above freezing. So please use caution on sidewalks, side streets. You know, once things start to freeze as we go into the overnight tonight, you're really not going to have an opportunity to see a lot of that thaw out. So it's just going to be a very January, wintry, cold, messy pattern coming up through the next 7 days.
Yeah, this is a doozy for all of you in the weather office, so we appreciate all the work that you guys have put in. Eric, I'm going to let you get back to forecasting and all that stuff for the night show, but thank you so much for your time. We'll see you coming up at 19 News.
Yeah, thanks.
So we had talked a little bit about the wind, excuse me. That is a main problem that First Energy is already seeing, particularly for those that may lose power. I spoke with First Energy earlier today. We're going to play this interview for you now, and then we'll wrap up. Lauren, if you don't mind, kind of recap what we saw this last week as far as outages and how everybody at First Energy is preparing for potentially more in the next couple of days.
Yeah. So this has been a crazy week for Northeast Ohio in terms of weather. Earlier this week, our crews were very busy working through challenging conditions to restore power to more than 50,000 customers who were impacted across the state. Now, we worked very hard and were able to get most of those customers back up and running within 24 hours, but our meteorologists were also at the same time monitoring the incoming weather that we're slated to get over the next couple of days. So fortunately, by us securing all of the additional resources that we needed to help our crews get our power back up and running to customers in the area earlier this week, we were able to keep those resources on hand throughout the weekend so that we can, have extra hands to assist with any outages that might occur.
When it comes to the conditions that we are expecting, where it can be difficulties in driving and just getting around in general, how important does it make it for First Energy to make sure that they have the proper staffing at hand, especially when you could need multiple crews to get to one spot because it could take some time?
Absolutely. So we've increased our staffing levels by hundreds of employees because we realize that especially throughout the holiday weekend, it's going to be very challenging to get to damaged locations. And, a lot of people, they don't realize that it's not just our line workers that are out there making the repairs. It requires hundreds of other people that are working behind the scenes, such as damage assessors, hazard responders, our forestry crews. And so by, securing all of those additional resources ahead of the storm, we can deploy them to the hardest hit areas and hit the ground running once repairs are needed.
Lauren, what should people do if not only their power goes out, but potentially a power line goes out and is on the ground near their home?
Yeah. So the most important thing that a customer can do during an outage is to report that outage to us. Customer reported outages allow us to pinpoint the damage locations so that we can get a crew there faster to get you back up and running. So when you're a customer who reports your outage, whether it's by calling us at 188-LIGHTS with 2 S's, online at firstenergycorp.com, or text messaging, it comes through our outage management system and puts a dot on a map that essentially shows us the areas of the concentrated outages so we can identify where the hardest hit areas are and deploy our resources to those areas. So don't assume that we know that you're without power. Always report it to us.
Lauren, the last thing I got for you here, this could be a tough couple of days for many people. On that online, on the portal that you all have for the outages, it does say potentially when the restoration time or the estimated restoration time. How hard should people kind of follow that? How much should people look at the restoration time and believe, yes, that's the exact time that my power is going to come back?
Yeah. So after a storm like we're set to experience, there's likely to be a lot of tree-related damage and a lot of equipment damage from tree debris coming into our equipment. So keep in mind that these are very time-consuming repairs. In the aftermath of severe weather, our top priority is making the area safe before making the repairs. So that means we're addressing all of the hazards like down power lines, down trees that are blocking access to damage location sites for our crews. And unfortunately, that can be a time consuming process, especially when we're talking about hundreds of damaged locations across our area. So we realize that it is extremely inconvenient to be without power, especially when it's cold outside. We have a Browns game tomorrow. But just keep in mind that our crews have left their own families in the dark to go out in these conditions to, restore power to our customers. And we're working as quickly and safely as we can.
Lauren, you answered all my questions here. Anything we didn't touch on that we should have?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on down wires. So with the high winds, like I mentioned, we are expected to see a lot of tree-related damage and down power lines. So if you don't have to go outside in this weather, it's best not to. And please use extra caution when approaching any storm debris or trees that are down, because you just don't know what's hidden behind those trees and that storm debris. So there could be downed or low-hanging lines, and we just want to make sure that you are treating any downed wire, whether it's a telecommunications line or a power line, as energized and dangerous, and call 911 to report it immediately.
Be safe, stay vigilant, make sure that you understand if there is a wire near you, assume it is live, make sure you do not touch it. All right, that's it for our latest coverage here. We'll have much more tonight on 19 News at 10 and 11. Yeah, big weekend in the weather office, so of course we'll have you covered on all angles. For now, I'm Jeff Slauson with 19 News. Have a fantastic night. Much more to come, both on air and online.
19 News, now streaming on Samsung Smart TV. Search for channel